Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to another review of Ready to Love Last Resort. This is episode 5, titled The Tea is Getting Good. This was a pretty short episode. All it was just conclusion to episode 4, the eliminations and stuff. So it wasn't, this should be a pretty short review. Once again, it's your boy Big James, and we're finna just jump right into it. Alright? It starts out with Brian, Alex, and Chris. They're outside exercising, and Alex asks Brian how his date with Alicia went, and he tells her, but he kind of leaves out the whole, well, I kind of stood up, didn't go back to a room thing, but I guess he didn't want to put that out there. That probably make her feel bad. Then we go to Rashid and Denise. Rashid and Denise are finally talking, and Rashid asks her about the stuff she said, and Denise is something else. She says, I'm going to apologize on behalf of Adriana. So she's not apologizing. She's apologizing for Adriana. She said Adriana didn't know what she was talking about, which is bullshit because Adriana repeated what you said. So how did she not know what she's talking about when she repeated what you said? Did he put on some whole thing about how I don't think you're a narcissist? She said I didn't call you narcissist. I said you have narcissistic traits, which that's the exact same thing. I'm not saying you're an asshole. I'm saying you act like an asshole. Like that's the same thing. So, and Rashid wasn't buying it. He was just like, yeah, okay. Because that was just nonsense. And she was saying, well, oh, she's older than Adriana, so she had more experience. She's lived longer. Denise is 39. Adriana is 31. What are you talking about? She's just this young girl. She ain't lived a life. She didn't live her life. But Adriana ain't broken and bitter about her life. And Denise is. Denise is very, very broken about the stuff that's happened to her is very traumatic and it's left an impression on her. Just stupid. It was just dumb. It was just, there was no way that she thought that was worth a damn. Because Rashid didn't think it and no one thought it. Just a waste of time. It really was. You go back inside, you see Edwin and Naya. They're having breakfast together, and Edwin and Naya, I guess they haven't really talked to each other. And Naya says, she's been pursuing whoever could be pursuing her. So she's only talking to Chris because Chris is coming after her, but now she wants to try and meet these guys on her own. So she's talking to Edwin, and Edwin's talking about his dog tags. I believe that's what he was talking about. Yeah, because he has his dog tags and dog tags of guys he served with overseas that died, that were killed. And so he wears the dog tags. And, his mom or somebody told him that, don't keep doing that because, yeah, it reminds you of them, but it also reminds you of the hurt and pain. So he said, he took the dog tags off because he couldn't be available to date, do all this stuff, but he kept thinking about his friends that were killed. So he had to take it off. There's a time and a place for everything. And Naya said she understood that. She said, she had 4 miscarriages. Her mother and her grandmother, people who loved her the most, that understood her the most, they had both died within 2 months of each other. And she was hurt and she was doing pretty badly. And she knew she had to move past that if she wanted to find someone to be in a relationship. So they both are connecting over loss, which is cool. That really is. And forcing themselves to move on past that loss. So I think her and Edwin really did connect. They said they had to work on being emotionally available, and they were both doing that. That was real cool. And then we go back inside to the couch where you see Chris, Winter, Shay, Alicia, and Anthony and Joy, and they're all in there talking. And Alicia says she wants to tell everybody the tea about what happened with her and her date with Brian last night. And Shay there being an ass. And she tells everybody, Brian said he was going to come back. He didn't come back. But then her and Shay, they saw him in Alex's room. He was kissing her and all that. He just stood her up. He never came back. And she asked Chris, like, hey, would you do that? And Chris was like, he couldn't say anything, and so she asked Anthony. Anthony was like, yo, if I wasn't feeling you, I would just, tell you I'm not feeling you and I don't want to come back, which is what Brian should have done. If he didn't want to go on a date. He didn't want to go on a date with her. He didn't want to talk to her. Brian didn't want anything to do with Alicia at all, but he did it anyway because he didn't want to hurt her feelings. And in the end, I think he ended up hurting her feelings even worse than just turning her down at the beginning. And then Chris was just dumbfounded, like, why would you even do that? Like, he couldn't understand why Brian would even do that at all. And then Joy brings up a situation with Simone. How when her and Jay were on the couch, Simone came in and told, like, I saw you go in Winter room half naked. And Winter was like, that's interesting because that makes her look a certain way. She said, we were only in there for like 3 minutes. We just talked and then he left. And she's like, why would Simone even bring that up? Nothing. It wasn't anything worth anything. And she doesn't like the impression that how it makes her look. She was like, I'm not that kind of woman. I don't do stuff like that. Like, we really just wanted to talk. And she was like, Jay ain't the kind of guy like that. So now they're looking at Simone kind of funny. And the whole thing is that while they're doing this, Shay just whooping and hooping it up and just instigating and pushing up. And Anthony sees her and be like, Shay just messy. Like, why are you so damn messy? You trying to make stuff bigger than it is. But right now, none of this is like big deals. It's just something that was rude. But it's not no big, gigantic thing. But Shay's trying to whoop it up to where it is some big deal. And it's like, gone with that old ghetto shit, So we go. Joy and Winter go to talk to Simone. Simone is playing pool with Brian. Like, the two people that's in the middle of this shit is playing pool together. So Simone goes to talk. They go and get Simone. They go to the couch, talk to Simone. And Joy and Winter are like, we just want to know, why would you even do that? Like, why would you bring it up? Why would you do that? And Simone, my hat's off to her. She said, I was just being messy because I'm insecure. Like, she didn't dance around and she didn't come up with no other. She just said that, I'm insecure. And she in her confessional, she said that she feels that way because, Joy and Winter they're very, like, feminine. They're very womanly, very loving, and, maternal. They're very womanly. They really are. They're very delicate and gentle and kind. And Simone isn't in. She's like, I'm not any of that. She's not a stereotypical woman. She's very strong, very abrasive, very confrontational, very aggressive. And Joy and Winter, they're not that. They're very demure. They're very laid back. They're very comforting and loving. And she's like, I'm not that, and it makes me feel insecure that I'm not that kind of woman. And she says, like, I was just being petty and messy because that's inside her. And she starts crying. And Winter starts crying, and Joy starts crying. They're all sitting here crying, and Winter is upset because she's like, you doing that makes me look a certain way. And Joy said she was confused. She didn't know why you would, like, what was she supposed to do about that? So it was just like, Simone was embarrassed, and they felt bad for Simone because they could, I guess they could understood or relate to it, like feeling insecure or feeling like you're not a woman or thing. It was beyond me. And then you see, we're going to cut to outside while they're crying. There's Shay is talking to Adriana and Alex. And she's just telling, like, oh, well, this, that. Well, he's supposed to come back to Alicia's room. Well, we was waiting there, but he was in your room and all that. And Alex was like, I didn't know that. Because she didn't know that. She was in her room. So she didn't know what Brian's plans were. She knew they had a date, but she didn't know he was supposed to come back. And then Alicia walks up. She says her ears were burning or whatever. And she tells Alicia tells Alex that, he stood her up. He was supposed to come back, but instead he went to her room. He was supposed to come back to Alicia's room. He went to Alex's room. And she felt some kind of way about him. She didn't trust Brian no more. She wasn't feeling him no more. And Alex said, well, if he could do that to Alicia, he can do that to me. Which I don't think so. Because he likes you. He didn't like Alicia. He wasn't feeling Alicia at all. But then Alex also kind of was like, happy, like he stood up for me, So Chris confronts Brian about what was he thinking? Like, why would he do that? Why would you stand up Alicia? Like, if you didn't want to go, just say, hey, I don't want. I'm not gonna come back. You just tell her like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm worried. And Brian was like, he was scared because if he came back, he don't really know what was going to happen, but he feel like he wouldn't have wanted what was going to happen. Because I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, Alicia looks like she is a great cuddle. Because she was like, I want him to come back and we could cuddle up and watch a movie. They wasn't gonna watch no movie. You could tell by the way she was acting, just her vibe, her energy, everything, that Alicia was not thinking about cuddling. And I'm kind of with Brian. Like, if he went back to that room and laid up with her to cuddle, Alicia looks like a fun cuddle. She looks like the greatest cuddle ever. Like, you would have a good time cuddling with her. So I could feel his like, I don't want to do this. I could totally get that, but I think he handled it wrong. He should have just said it. Like, no, I'm not gonna come back. Like, hey, thank you, but I gotta go do something else. I'm not coming back. But saying like, yo, I'll be right back. 20 minutes, I'll be right back. And knowing goddamn well you're not coming back, that's messed up, man. You could have just been a man about it, be like, yo, nah. And you could have told her like, hey, I'm worried that it's gonna go too far or something gonna happen. And that's why I'm just gonna go ahead and go to bed or go hang out. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. So Alicia asks Alex, hey, can you go and get Brian so that I can talk to him? So Alex goes and tells Brian, like, hey, Alicia looking for you. And then she rolls out. So Brian comes over to where Alicia is at. And Alicia's just pissed off. She was like, you could have just told me you didn't want to come back. And she said it makes her look stupid. It hurt her feelings. And she not feeling him no more. And she don't want to hear shit he got to say. And Brian had no defense because what can you say? You should have just been open. You should have just been honest. And that's basically that. We cut back to inside the house with Shay and Rashid. They're in the dining area somewhere like that. And Shay and Brian standing there, and Shay asked him like, "What's up with this?" He has like a fraternity symbol on his arm, and he says, "Oh, it's my brother." She's like, "Well, I know that, but what is it?" And he was like, "Oh, it's I guess he's a Kappa." And then she starts just acting a fool. She loud and drunk, making an ass out of herself. She said, "Oh, Kappa's all them pretty boys." She was like, "I knew a Kappa thing. I used to date a Kappa guy, and he was the devil." And she tell Rashid, you just like him too. Which Rashid is like, that's the same shit he got with Denise. Like, don't tell me I'm like somebody else. You don't even know me. Because Shay don't even know Rashid. She didn't know shit about him. Never talked to him before today. And he was like, it was the same shit. She was like, oh, them Kappas, they this here, they this, that, they that. And she's like, oh, she can make pretty babies. Like, they can make some pretty babies together. And Rashid is just like, disgusted with her. He was like, he couldn't say a word because he wasn't feeling nothing she was saying. She was doing too much. She wasn't being sexy. She was being gross. And it's a difference between being sexy and being just gross. She was twerking all on him. She twerking because she tired of being the man in a relationship. She tired of being the breadwinner. She tired of being the one doing work. She want to be submissive. So she gonna twerk for submissiveness. So she's standing there not twerking, I guess. I don't know what. It was probably one of the worst twerks you've ever seen in your life. It looked like she was having a fucking seizure standing up. And her booty wasn't moving at all. It was all back. And you had Chris and Anthony, they were there playing pool and they could hear and see her. And they were both like, what is this bullshit? What are you doing? It was like, Chris said, she's not being sexy. She needs to tone it down because that's not sexy. She's just being gross and disgusting. She's twerking all on Rashid. Rashid looks completely uninterested. He don't want nothing to do with this. like you nasty. It was just she was just loud. She's been loud every time you see her, and just been like she is just drunk. Like she has not missed a drink. Like it's and nobody is feeling her at all. You see Jay and Winter. They start talking, and Jay is telling her, like we were in the middle of this with Simone, but we weren't involved in it. Like this whole thing was just because they talked. They didn't do anything. They didn't spread no rumors. They didn't do it. Winter didn't even know about it till this morning. So it was like Jay was like, that wasn't us. He was like, he's feeling her. She's a very attractive woman. She's very beautiful. She's very sweet and caring, intelligent. You can see it right off her. And she compliments him. She said, you're like a quiet strength. Because Jay is really, he doesn't talk loud. He's not the center of attention. She's like, you're there and you're very quiet, but you're clearly strong and capable. And he really gives that off. He doesn't have to be the loudest person. He doesn't have to be the biggest person. He doesn't have to be anything. But you can tell that he is like a real like man, And he's probably like, he's the shortest guy there. He's like maybe 5'8", 5'9", but he comes across as more masculine than a lot of the other guys do. And he doesn't talk that much. He speaks and like a slow jam radio host talk. Like he doesn't talk. His voice is low and almost whispery, but you can tell that rumble in it, that it's some strength behind it too. Calfani and Adriana flirting with each other that night. They're playing Connect Four. I like this big ass Connect Four thing. I don't know where they get that at, but I like it a lot. Might be looking to buy it. It might be on Amazon or something. They're playing Connect Four, and they're talking about love languages. I don't know why everyone's talking about love language. It must have been like something they had to fill out before they went there, because everybody's like, "Oh, this is my love language." I'm like I've done it, but I don't know love languages that well to just have a conversation about it. Shit. Like I think my love language was physical touch, which yeah. But I don't even know what all that goes into. I think I have another. I don't even know. Like I had like some other ones. I don't even know. They're just flirting and playing Connect Four. It's nothing significant or worthwhile or worth a damn. But it goes back to what I said previously. Is I think Adriana likes Rashid, but is attracted to Calfani. Because her interaction with them two is completely different. Like, she doesn't really talk to Calfani. Like, she talks to Rashid, but she plays with Calfani more than she does with Rashid. Like, when she's with Calfani, she's just smiling and giggling like a little teenage girl. Just, ooh, oh, Calfani. But when she's with Rashid, she's more of like a grown woman. She's more adult. She's more mature and everything. So I think it's a like and attracted to, really, I think is what's going on with those two. And at the end of the day, I don't think Rashid gonna make it. If she had to pick between the two of them, she's picking Calfani. Because yeah, I like Rashid, but Calfani do something to me. That's what I'm seeing. Could be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing. I don't know what you see, but that's what I see. And after that, the dudes go in there with I don't know why I say boy. I think about my damn kids. The guys go in there with Tommy, and they're talking about who they're going to eliminate, and who do they like first. And they're like, oh, Calfani said he likes Denise, but he sees stuff like the jealousy stuff with Denise, but that's still his girl. Rashid's still on Adriana. Chris, he all in denial. And Jay says, he was feeling Simone, but some stuff happened where he's kind of questioning her on like what her intentions are. And Tommy says, "Oh, you think she should be eliminated?" He said, "No, I just want to talk to her and figure out what's going on." Because I think Jay was the only person there who doesn't really who was upset about Simone thing. I think everybody knew about it, but they wasn't really like upset about it because they weren't involved in it. But Jay was involved. He said, "I just want to talk to her. I don't want her gone. I just want to talk to her, figure out what was this about." And Edwin says that he had a good date with Naya, and they really connected. But you got Chris look like, what you mean you went on a date with Naya? Because Edwin was like, yeah, like Edwin's kind of just back in the cut. He's not really out in the front. He's kind of moving in silence a little bit. And then he said, he had another interaction with Joy. And he said, I'm really feeling Joy. He's like, Joy, that got Jay like, what the hell you mean, Joy? So Chris and Jay were looking at Edwin like, coming for our girls, man. But Edwin, yeah, Edwin he's a good conversationist, which I think is what really is making a lot of the older women really like him, because he's a good talk. And he's very subtle, he's very smooth. Edwin's real smooth. And he's got a lot of life experiences. He got a lot of things to talk about and to teach, and he can cook. Women like to eat too. And they say, well, who you not feeling? And Rashid is like Denise. The whole narcissism thing, the whole light-skinned, tall, frat dude. He's like, what is that? Which Tommy got upset because Tommy like, hey, I'm a tall, light-skinned, frat dude too. And I hope that you don't think I'm a narcissist because of that. And so, but Anthony and Calfani are like, they like Denise. But they are concerned about her saying this stuff, and they're concerned about her like jealousy and her possessiveness, especially Calfani. And then they like Shay, and everybody was like, man, fuck Shay. Everybody was like, man, the hell with Shay. They were like, they say she has no connection to anybody. Nobody is looking at her. Nobody's feeling her. Nobody's thinking about her. Like, why is she here? And I have been saying it the whole time. Like, why is she here? She does nothing. She's just drunk. She's just drunk and loud. That's all she's been. And I think she was getting desperate. She started just throwing her ass at people. But then that just turned everybody off even more. So Shay. Then Alicia. Brian said, he's not feeling Alicia. And and then Tommy asked, they were like, well, that thing that happened between him and Alicia. Tommy was like, so because you stood her up, because you hurt her feelings, you want her gone now? And Brian was like, no, I wasn't feeling her in the first place. And I think everybody else was like, yeah. Like, Alicia is she just treating everybody terribly. Because Chris said on day one, when he met her, Alicia said, you not my type, so you can be gone. And then he was like, all right. So it was like she was just kind of Alicia was just not trying to connect with anybody. Like, she just was like, so I think Brian and David were the only people she even tried to talk to. And she got David eliminated because he didn't want to take care of her kids. Come to find out, I said at the end. And then Brian, everybody else, she kind of just like didn't even talk to, didn't want to interact with. So when Brian wasn't feeling her, nobody else was either. So it was like, so your bottom three was Denise, Shay, and Alicia. So Calfani talks to Denise. Edwin talks to Shay. And Chris goes to Alicia. I like the setup they did because Chris was, he was smooth. He could talk to Alicia very well, and him and Alicia had no interactions, which sucks for Alicia because it seemed like from this, Chris liked Alicia, but she shut him down day one. Like, no, because Chris was all into her. He was like, yo, I'm feeling all this. I'm liking all of this, but you was kind of not really being receptive, not talking. And she was like, yeah, I pretty much friend zoned all of y'all and didn't want to talk to you. So, and then she said her feet hurt. She said her shoes off. She been looking at her take her shoes off. And Chris is just talking to her, and Chris liked her, but she wasn't feeling him from day one. So he was like, "Wasn't no point in still messing with you." And he tells her, hate to see you leave, but love to see you walk away, which make her laugh. But he was just, when I say he was all in, he was all in her. And then come to find out, she was 5 months pregnant during this whole show. She was pregnant. She was 5 months pregnant. I think she's had the baby now, because I didn't know until I found it out online. And I think Chris tweeted at something like she was 5 months pregnant when she was eliminated. That might have been why taking care of her and her kids was such an important issue for her. Because she had two, and she had one on the way. No thank you. And Edwin talks to Shay, and that was a nothing conversation. Shay was just loud, drunk. Edwin was just sweet. He talked to her. He was very mature, very adult. And she was like, I'm gonna find somebody else, and blah blah. It was just like, bye. It ain't worth talking about. And then you had Denise and Calfani, and I think Calfani was the perfect person to talk to Denise, because if it was anybody else, it wouldn't have went down good. It wouldn't have went smooth at all. But when she talks to Calfani, Denise really tones it down. She's very more receptive. She's more of a listener, and she's more open because she likes him. So Calfani basically tells her, like, you gotta stop acting the way you act. You gotta stop treating people like the way you treat them. Stop making assumptions. And this is like, we supposed to talk to other people. We supposed to do this stuff. Don't get upset and don't get possessive if you see me talking to somebody else. You should talk to somebody. He telling her, you should talk to somebody else too. Because you don't know, you got to make connections. You got to see what's going on. And she says she understands, she shouldn't be throwing accusations out there or trying to put labels on people. And he tells Denise, hey, but you can stay because, Calfani and Anthony are both vouching for Denise. Like, we want Denise to stay. Rashid ain't. So Denise stays. The next day, they're all up in the morning, and they were wondering like who wanted them, because Adriana is upset. She was like, "How is Denise not gone?" And she can't figure it out. She was like, "I did everything the way it was supposed to be done. I made her look like a villain. How is she still here?" Adriana, she was like, her best laid plans didn't work because she wanted Denise gone. Denise still here. And it was just funny to me. It really is just funny. She tried so hard to get Denise up out of there, and it didn't work. Maybe next time, Adriana. You see Denise go on a date with Anthony. They go play croquet. I think that's what it's called. Croquet. Yeah. And she's different with Anthony than she is with Calfani. She's a lot different. She's more playful, more laughing. Like, her and Anthony have a good playful, like, childlike vibe together. But she's just more open and just goofing off stuff. And they make a bet, like, whoever loses has to skinny dip. And Denise loses, and Anthony like, go ahead, go do it. So he helps her get undressed. I think she couldn't get she had a bathing suit on, but she couldn't get the bathing suit off, so he had to help her out. And she jumps, and Denise got a body out this world. Denise looks good. She looks real good. She is put together very nicely. She works out. And she jumps in the pool, and then she's just having fun. And her and Anthony, like, just the interaction between her and Anthony is completely different than her and Calfani. She's just more open and more, I guess maybe she took what Calfani said to heart and just got more open and like, I'm going to try more things. I'm going to try to be a better person during this whole thing, which is good on her. And then afterward, they go to the ladies go and talk to Tommy, and he says, now we're going to bring your friends in to talk to the guys. Let's see what your friends got to say, which is cool. So that's what's going to be next episode. This episode was just the end of the last episode. It wasn't too much going on. I called it. I said Shay and Alicia are going to be eliminated because nobody likes them. And that is exactly what happened. I knew Denise was staying because she has Cal Funny and Anthony behind her. They got her back. She's not going anywhere until those two turn on her. And I don't think they're going to have. I know Anthony's not. And I don't think Cal Funny is. I think this week they didn't say. I don't know if one or two guys. I think one guy is going to get eliminated. That one guy, from looking at it, is probably going to be Rashid. If it's one guy, it's going to be either Rashid or Brian. Because I don't think nobody likes Brian except Alex, and no one likes Rashid except Adriana. And I think Adriana is more into Cal Funny. But I think Brian is immature and an ass. So I think there's going to be a turn against him. Rashid is just goofy, but Rashid is harmless. You know, he's not hurting anybody. He's probably fun to be around. He seems very fun to be around and like intelligent and sweet. So they probably keep him around longer. If Adriana, unless like basically it's up to Adriana whether Rashid stays or not. And I don't think she is going to pick him over Cal Funny. But that's my prediction. Because nobody else, I guess maybe Chris. Because Nia, she's trying to move away from Chris. And Chris only has that one connection. Jay not leaving, because Jay got 3 women. Jay got Joy Winter and Simone. He not going nowhere. And Anthony just got Denise. It's too many one-on-one connections to say definitively who's going to go. Because all you need is one woman to say, you know what, I'm done with him. And then that person's gone. So next week should be very interesting. Or this week's should be interesting. But just let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Correct me if I'm wrong or make any suggestions. And we'll go from there. But I'm very interested to see what happens next. I'll see y'all.